We're ready to go. All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It is February 7th, 2024. It is 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Capel,
Here.
Strayer,
Here.
Mr. Neff,
Here.
Mr. Grumney,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mrs. Cooper. Here. 7 present.
We are going to open with a public hearing. This is a rezoning hearing for 450 South Miller Drive. We do have a stenographer here with us this evening. I'd like to start by passing it to staff or our law director, Mr. Bream, to lay the foundation for this rezoning hearing.
So thank you, Mayor. This is as you stated, a public hearing on the rezoning request from Brian Becksecker. Hi, Brian. To rezone parcel number 417-412-02005000 from Planned Residence District to Planned Commercial District. The property is at 450 South Miller Drive. I have in my hand, and I'd like to mark as exhibits, the rezoning notice, which would be Exhibit A. There's the proof of publication that I've marked as Exhibit B, and the zoning application and a rezoning application and attachments, which are marked as Exhibit C. With the applicant's permission, I'd like to mark those exhibits. And with that, this is a public hearing, so anybody who will be testifying or would like to testify or thinks they might testify about this application, we need to get you sworn. That involves standing, raising your right hand. Doesn't require you to testify. If you think you even might, please stand and be sworn, because if we don't get you sworn, we've got to stop and we've got to do it. You can be sworn and not testify, that's fine. Can't do it the other way around. So if we could, please stand and raise your right hand.
You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the promise of perjury?
I do.
Again, I'm David Bream, Law Director. At this point, I'd like to go ahead and recognize the applicant. Brian, if you'd like to come up, approach the podium, explain a little bit about your application.
We are requesting that the zoning for the parcel at 450 South Miller Drive be changed from planned residential to planned commercial. This would bring the zoning into compliance to the present use of the property and the adjoining properties around it. There's no planned construction or change of usage at this time. It's just bringing the existing zoning into compliance with what it's being used as today. That's it.
Thank you. Any comments from City Council?
Should he state his name up for the record?
Yes, please.
Brian B. Secker with Richland Engineering Limited.
Thank you.
This one would open it up for any testimony for or against the application from anybody that's present tonight.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak about this rezoning application? Thank you. I do want to echo just some of staff's comments in their report. I believe page 20 in your packet is probably the most depictive version that would draw your attention to. Their property is the light pink rectangle in the large blue Kroger complex, and stands out there. What the applicant is requesting and what staff has summarized is the existing use that is underway. The applicant is trying to bring it up to code. Any other comments from council?
And I will go ahead and mark, just since it was testified to that page, it's page 20 of your packet, but it is the staff comments on the rezoning application. We'll mark that as exhibit D for identification purposes.
That is page 19 and 20 in the council packet. Any other comments? I will call the public hearing closed. Thank you. You also want to mention or ask a question of staff, and that is related to this. Typically, we have an ordinance supporting a public hearing up for a first reading. Mr. Hennessy, could you speak to the fact that there's no ordinance this evening?
Yeah, so I'll apologize for that. When I was putting the agenda together, I was focused on the public hearing. Wasn't focused on adding the ordinance. I did talk to the applicant, let them know that we'll bring that ordinance to the next council meeting and begin the readings at that point. So.
For the record, on the public hearing that we had at the Planning and Zoning Commission, this would have been in late December, I believe. We had a public hearing. It lasted about 240 seconds and was unanimously. What's that?
Didn't we have two public hearings?
We did. This particular application was unanimously approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's about as straightforward as they come. So if you choose, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, we're on to minutes approval. We had a meeting last Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. I'm looking for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Cooper for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion?
I just wanted to add, under the, I think under new business, I had brought up about the Wizards game last meeting and that Mayor St. John is going to be one of the referees. I just want that on the record so that you don't
disagree.
back out.
And the other thing I wanted to point out was that when it talks about approval of the minutes from the previous two meetings, it says passed with 7 years instead of 7 yeas. So just
One little letter, huh? Made a big difference.
Thank you. Any other jabs? I mean.
Don't take it like that.
I know it wasn't you.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
7 yeas, minutes approved.
I do want to do an audio check. Can the audience hear us? I can't hear the audio, but if you can, we're okay. Perfect. Great. Thank you. We are into the visitors section. We are going to strike the Sunbury Police Department from the visitors section because we have a very special section for them coming underneath the police report. So we're going to skip right to committee reports. I think Mr. Neff has a pretty big report that he'd like to cover. He has an accompanying sheet of paper.
Ooh, moving on up.
The fire board, we met on February 1st. It was a really good meeting as far as the Station 2 updates. Conceptual drawings will be out very soon. It gets some new turnout gear from the replacement program. The other thing that I wanted to put in here was the bond that's up. That is going to be, they're asking for 9 million. It's not to exceed, so I do want to make sure everyone understands that 0.78 mils. And also it was explained that the amount will drop down as more people move in, as the population increases. So as we're looking for the 9 million, if it's not all used, it can come down too. And as the population exceeds, the amount will also drop. So
Or new development, not just for new people, but if new commercial structures or industrial structures, that lowers the burden on the
more people
existing.
carrying the burden.
Got it.
That's it.
Thanks, Marie.
Thank you. And if you didn't know, in the packet, page 22, Mr. Neff included and will include every month the fire department report, which includes the heat maps, the call volume, and the data for the fire department. Thank you.
Thanks for including that.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Neff? All right, Mr. Martin.
No.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, I am sure that my expertise in water, sewer, and trees was missed in the services committee. But it was good to be back in parks. We had a visitor for my first meeting with Parks. We had the Big Walnut Little League came. Danny Sherman and Kevin Gustation were here to talk about what kind of fields we currently have in Sunbury and what they'd like to see. So it was really interesting hearing from them. They talked about how much money they bring in with the one tournament that they do a year and how much money could potentially be brought with more tournaments if they had more fields. And they were really just looking to start a conversation and just let us know they're available to talk with, partner with. They want to be involved if anything happens in Sunbury regarding fields, sports, they're interested. So it was really great to hear from them. On a much less great note, we talked about the pending state budget requests. As you all know, we had requested $1.5 million from our from the Ohio General Assembly to help fund J.R. Smith Park. Just as a reminder for those of you that aren't on the Parks Committee, phase 1 of J.R. Smith is about $2 million, and we had requested 1.5 from the state. And we were told today that it was not included in their budget. They did include, we had 3 requests. We requested some monies for our Ohio Fallen Heroes and for our extension to the Ohio to Erie Trail part. They did say yes to the Ohio Fallen Heroes part. We were very grateful for that. But it's a $1.5 million disappointment that wasn't included in the bill. Our staff told us that they are reaching out. They're going to reach out to Senator Brenner. They are hopeful to get an on-site visit with him to show him the area and explain just how important it is to Sunbury and to our residents. So we're still holding out hope. We're disappointed, but hopeful. And that was the majority of the meeting.
Great update. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Capel, Chairman.
Yes, sir. We had our services committee meeting just before the meeting here this evening. It was very informative. Mr. White had presented an early draft of a potential policy to govern the install of fiber throughout Sunbury. We've been talking about fiber kind of off and on over the last year. And what this is a proactive approach to outlining what our expectations would be for a potential provider to come in and lay the groundwork for the fiber. So how are they using the right of way? How are we guaranteeing that they're not going to hit existing utilities? How are we marking utilities? Among the more important topics, how do we get surety from the provider that they'll cover our labor involved in marking our own utilities, and that they'll take financial responsibility for any damages that they might incur. A broad array of topics that I won't get into here, but a really good starting point for discussion on the fiber topic as we go forward. Also got an update on our municipal and police building renovations. Framing's finishing in the municipal building. Mr. Hennessy agreed to set those of us who have not yet had a tour up with a tour through the new building. So we're all very excited for that. But the ultimate date of completion estimation has been pushed back from the end of May into mid-June, coming from the university standpoint. That's a very modest pushback on date, so that's not too bad. But a mid-June completion date is expected, and that's all I have.
Great update. Thank you. Mr. Grundy?
I do not have anything this evening.
Mr. Ray?
I do not.
Great. Thank you. We are on to the highlight of the evening, the police report. I'd like to call Chief Rob Howard up to the stand.
So I'm not gonna waste a lot of time on the report that I have, because it's gonna be pretty boring compared to what's coming up. So if anybody has any questions, we'll be thinking about that real quick. The one item I do have, the mayor asked that we meet with CT Consultants. It's on here. It's item number 2, to meet with them about some of the GIS mapping for our radar signs. We did meet. We were able to pull some data that we're putting together for CT. We're meeting with them again on the 15th, just so you know, to try and get that put together for the 21st. Great. I wanted to thank Councilman Mrs. Cooper and Mr. Neff for coming down. They took a tour of the building with us. It's kind of nice to have you guys come down so you can see what we're doing and how things are developing. And I mean, we're excited about it. And then after these two were down and seeing it, they were excited about it as well. So Daryl set that up. It came down and it just worked out great. If you have no questions on the rest of this stuff, I will turn this over to Deputy Chief Sean Wade, who set up our drone program, and he can continue from there.
Good evening, Sean Wade, Deputy Chief with the Sunbury Police Department. They're going to be setting these drones up here in front of you just so you can see what it is. So just a real quick, I'm going to turn it over to them. They're going to do the talking on this. And when he said as far as putting it together, it was very minimal on my end and very major on their end. 2022, we did a demo here with the county. They would come over, they're gracious to show us kind of the drone program that I was privileged to be a part of in my prior employer. And then discussions began. And in 2023, the city graciously budgeted for this drone program, which you're about to hear much more on. May of 2023, we submitted, and in your packets, you'll see the actual additional duties posting that was posted for these pilots. These four candidates had put in requesting to be a part of this program. And I will say that, and to being a police officer in 2024, there is a lot to it. Continued professional training, daily stuff, qualifications, and I won't bore you with everything that we've got to maintain, but this is additional, or affectionately as what we refer to as collateral duties. These four came forward to take that challenge. After the four were selected, we had a philosophy of crawl, walk, run, building the program. The four pilots that were selected by committee selected a project coordinator. And this is an effort. At the beginning, we had said we want to be transparent, we want to be accountable, we want to be professional. So in that, this is all part of that. And this is them coming forward to explain to the city what the tax dollars and investment is for the city of Sunbury's very first drone team. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the project coordinator, Officer Brandon Ramirez.
Call for backup.
So before we start the PowerPoint, I'm just going to introduce the other drone pilots. We have the maintenance officer, which is Officer Ebright. Then we have Officer Steve Alexander and Officer Belcher. So we're the four pilots. If you go to the second page of the slide, show.
Belcher is one.
It shows. It's true. We technically have 4.5. So you can go to the third page. All right. So these are the two drones that we currently have in service. We have the DJI Matrice 30T, and also several additional items that go along with that, including the speaker, spotlight, and everything with that. Then we have the DJI Avata, which is most use for that is to be interior, to conduct searches of buildings and that kind of thing, where you don't have to jeopardize sending an officer in. If there's somebody in there possibly with a weapon, we can send a Avata in and it can clear the building with a pilot outside the building. So.
Hi, I'm Officer Belcher. The next slide, please, Amber. Thank you. So this is our slide about the costs. This is basically the highest cost that we have. The first line there is going to be our training, the training costs, what all four officers did, as well as our air data subscription, which you'll be hearing about a little bit more later. The second line there is our costs for what we need when we're on scene of a drone mission or drone call out. We have our generator, our tent, and the command center, which you'll also see later pictures of those as well, put to use. And the last two there are our the actual costs of the drones themselves. You have the DJI Matrice, which was just over 19,000, and the Avata Mini, which was just over 2,000. So roughly our cost was about 29,000 in general for everything. So this covers our training. So all 4 officers had to take we roughly figured out that it was about 60 hours for each officer between the studying, the practice exams that we took. As you can see, I'm not going to read everything there, but as you can see, we had to take 12 lesson courses, which was about 12 hours. That 12 hours is not including our note taking. To pause for that, pre and post quizzes, which can range to 50 questions. And then we have like a final exam that we could practice multiple times, which was 60 questions. And all 4 officers successfully passed the aeronautical knowledge exam. There was 60 questions as well. So we can go to the next one. So this is basically the policy for what we have for the authorized uses of what the drone platform is. Like I said, I'm not going to read through every one of them, but mainly the most important ones are the missing persons, search and rescue, hostage and barricade. That's our Avata, the Mini. It can go inside buildings, which you'll see that in use later. We can assist fire, accidents, vehicle accidents. We can actually fly above accidents and see the situation. Also Overwatch. So if we have the Civil and Sound, we will be there also flying, and the July 4th will be up flying. So anything big that happens in town will be there to basically be surveillance and Overwatch.
Hello, I'm Officer Bright. I'm a maintenance officer with the drone team. So there's been recent incidents in Sunbury where we could have utilized the drone if we had this program done sooner. So suspicious people look into cars. The Kia boys are out and about. They like to steal our cars and sound. The thermal technology we have will be a great asset, especially at night for our 3rd shift officers and our 2nd shift officers trying to find these guys for officer safety purposes. The burglary at Miller's Cove, if you're all familiar, suspect ran on foot. If we had a drone available in our cruisers, we could have lessened the time to find the suspect. The fatality seen at Wendy's for aerial mapping. Aerial mapping is a great tool to use for investigative purposes. It gathers more information of a scene, which is vital for our investigations. Assisting with nearby agencies with fleeing suspects, nearby like Delaware County Sheriff's Office, Genoa Township, and different fleeing suspects, again, to offer our services to help make sure that officers with their department are also safe and can utilize this. So next slide, please. As a maintenance officer, my job is basically make sure that thing's flying. With what we use, Air Data, it's a program we use to keep track of all maintenance logs, all flight records are meticulously kept for the aircraft, so we know when it might be down for servicing. We have an estimated timeline of when we can get it back up to better serve Sunbury. It's a fantastic tool. It makes my job a lot easier. So that's why I like it. Next slide, please. Another thing with drones, obviously can be a negative connotation with drones regarding it's being intrusive to privacy interests with the public. That's something we fully understand. This drone is to be utilized in the most lawful way, following all current case law, and to make sure that we are respecting people's privacy interests and 4th Amendment rights. That's the basic foundation of what this program is to be transparent and to make sure that we're respecting everyone's civil rights. So next slide, please. I'm Steve Alexander. These are just several articles from around the country where drones have been helpful or in catching suspects or just general information as to agencies putting drones into service. Next slide, please. This is from the Mayor's State of the City address. This lower left-hand picture is the command center. That's actually paperwork inside the high school, on one of the desks as people are coming in. And that's what the pilots can see. The middle slide here is the overall, you have on the left-hand side of it, you have the outside picture, and then on the right-hand side of that same photo is the mayor standing at the podium speaking.
Looks like you got the suspect.
And then on the right, you see the canopy that we have. It was raining, so we brought out the canopy, the tailgate of the truck, and then the back of the cruiser with this command center set up in it so that we could see the drone and put it in action. And that would have been the first deployment of the drone. And that's a just an overview of the square. Just a picture from the drone. Go to the next slide, please. This is an image from the police department parking lot of the thermal view from the drone. So basically how thermal works is it displays an image based on different ranges of heat temperature, and that actually creates an image. So we're on the white hot palette. Basically anything that's lighter is hotter. So as you can see around these cruisers, the white ones are the ones that are running, the ones that are black are not running. You can also see faint areas on the picture that are lighter. That's where cruisers were about 15 minutes ago. So it's amazing the technology you can see just from heat and the thermal use and the thermal of the drone. Next slide, please. This is a video that really illustrates the power of a thermal device. We took this video pitch black at night. On the left side, it illustrates the thermal, where we had another officer hiding the wood line, try and hide from us. On the right side is just regular old camera view with the spotlight on. So if you want to play the video, it's a fantastic illustration of the drone's capabilities. Again, as you can see on the right side, you can barely see anything. On the left side, it's clear as day that there's a person walking through the woods. I don't know if I can illustrate how important that is for an officer
At the same time?
You can do a split screen view to see what you're looking at with the thermal and then the regular view. It's just it's clear as day at pitch black. It's a great tool, like I said, for officer safety and trying to find people trying to hide from us. So these next two are going to be videos that we created, just kind of illustrate the power of the drone. Hopefully you guys enjoy what we made for you. If you can go to that next slide.
Officer Reberg, just for perspective, how high up was that drone?
That was about 350 feet in the air. This is the DJI Avata doing a search for a suspect with a firearm.
I know this place.
My goodness.
Yeah, but it's not.
Now, where is the operator standing the whole time this is happening?
They were on the bottom floor in the kitchen at Town Hall.
And they have something they're looking at that can see what's going on.
Yes, the DJI Avata uses VR goggles to. If you can't tell who the suspect is our very own Officer Belcher. But again, that illustrates that we don't need to put an officer in the way of that gun. We can put a drone, which, I mean, I'd rather a drone take a bullet than an officer. So when you can go to the next video.
Oh my goodness.
This one illustrates the zoom capabilities of the drone. Wait.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's gotta be kidding me.
Again, yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic tool to see into houses, their Zoom capabilities. And then, Officer Ramirez will talk about his deployment.
So before I go through this real quick, just to give you an idea. This right here is DJI, the 30 trees. This is the outdoor one, and this right here is the actual small bottle. And this is what you use to fly the bottle. You put these on in a safe location. You have the dual sticks, and that's how you fly. And another time, if you want, we can set up a date and we can give you guys a demo and back myself with this.
We definitely want.
Yes. So, this next couple slides will end it, on the 1st of February. Myself and Sergeant Meacham were, deployed out to assist the county on a missing dementia patient. So obviously we took the Matrice 30 to go out there, and just to give you a quick timeline before we, play the video, I was dispatched at 23:26 hours. We arrived on scene at 23:34 hours. The drone was deployed up in the air 1 minute later at 23:35 hours and located the female approximately 11 minutes later at 23:46 hours. So by the time of deployment, by the time of dispatch at the time, we're actually getting on scene and finding her was 20 minutes exactly. During that 20 minutes, I was able to cover 4.13 miles of ground during that time frame in that 11 minutes. So you can go next slide. And that's her on next to the Raymond barn.
Wow.
It's like 30 degrees out.
Yeah. She was out there for just over an hour.
Can you see heat when it's light out too?
So that's her in the bottom right hand side of the screen. She was just walking up to some random person's house. She had no clue who it was. And that's Officer Meacham, or Sergeant Meacham walking up and I'm on the radio guiding him to where she is at that point, because it's pitch black and you'll see in a second. That's the Elder County deputies walking up the driveway to get to the side. That's how dark it is. That's what their flashlight is. So that's going to conclude our presentation. Is there any questions that any one of us can answer?
I don't have any questions, but I want to say how impressed I am, and I wanted to thank you guys for stepping up and taking on this responsibility, because this is really cool and this is potentially life-saving. Looks like you're already doing that kind of work with it, so really appreciate it.
We all appreciate that. We really do.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
How long can the drone stay up on a battery charge?
So we have 5 sets of battery. Every time the drone is deployed, it takes 2 sets or 1 set of batteries. So 2 batteries in it. When the batteries are charged at 100%, they can be up in there approximately 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Then we have at all times, whenever a drone operator is on duty, they actually carry the drone with them in the vehicle. So if there's a deployment, we don't have to go back to the station to get the equipment. It's automatically equipped in our vehicle. So we have approximately an hour 20 to hour and 30 minutes of battery life with us at all times.
I lied, I do have another question. The small drone, the video of it going through the building, I was impressed. It looked like you had a really, really fine degree of control with that. Is it easy to control, or does it take a lot of skill to maneuver through tight hallways and such?
It is not the easiest. It's one that you have to practice to get to that point. There is Officer Alexander, he likes the controller right here, which this is all controlled by the turning your wrist. That's controlled by, right here's the throttle. Like a video beam controller.
Okay.
So it all depends on your preference, what you like. But yeah, it's.
Is that little one loud?
Yes, it's very loud. St. John knows about that.
That's when you thought the furnace was.
Yeah, I thought the elevator was broken or the furnace was the condenser blew or something. We were in a meeting up here, Daryl and I, and we heard some noises downstairs and they were actually taking videos, I think, preparing for this. Right?
I think last time when you guys came, you told us that there's usually a partner, that someone works with you and kind of watches your surroundings for you. I would imagine, especially when you're wearing those goggles, does it have to be one of you four, or can somebody, it doesn't have to be a pilot?
No, ma'am, it does not have to be a pilot. So a visual observer, anytime you fly a drone, you have to have a visual observer unless exigent circumstances. So with our program, you can find any person, hey, I need you to be a visual observer, give them a rundown of what their duties are, what they need to do. Can you watch this drone? Keep your eyes on it at all times. And that's.
Was it that person that was telling the other officer where the lady was?
So Sergeant Meacham was my visual observer at that call. He was actually watching the drone, using it to go to her location initially. Then at that point, due to exigent circumstances, there was a pond about 30 to 40 yards just north of her. So we were trying to find her prior to reaching that pond. So due to the exigent circumstances, we were able to not use a visual observer for that short time frame.
I don't have any questions. I just want to kind of follow up with what Damon said, because I know it takes a lot of personal sacrifice and discipline to go through something like this. So thank you, all four of you, for doing that. And, it just kind of shows us responsible, forward thinking and like community focused endeavor. And, I put this police department up against any department from any community because you guys are awesome. And I think Sunbury should be very proud to have officers like you serving us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I second.
That how nice it would have been to have this type of technology, historically for lost people, hikers, things of that nature. So is there, obviously, when you're in the building that's manual, you're going with your goggles and your vision. But as far as a gridding or some type of search protocol, how do you search for a missing person when you don't know what direction? You know where they're potentially originated from, but you have no idea where they are. Is there some type of a pattern or something that you're trained to do, or how do you?
So in my situation, obviously, the last known location was her north of Kilbourne Road on 61, and she possibly got struck by a vehicle. That was the last known case. So I was able to, with the drone, I was able to search from Kilbourne Road all the way to 71, which is approximately just over 2 miles and back. And during that time frame, my search, I was looking at the road and 150 yards off each side of the road, the east and west sides. But you can actually set the drone where you can do a actual grid. So you just set it in there and it does a grid automatically by itself.
So I was wondering if it had that functionality.
Yeah, then you can do a printout and it shows you, hey, I checked this area. So everything is.
So you're not repeating yourself.
No.
I just want to say one thing. I wasn't going to share this, but some of these guys may know some. Officer Ramirez had this call out, and we were all excited because we found this missing lady. And it was probably three days later, I get the official report, comes in, sits on my desk, and the lady that they found was my aunt. Reached out to her son, and he's very thankful. So.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm really proud of you as a team, from top to bottom. Really proud.
Thank you.
So when we get a little better weather, we want to see them a little warmer weather. We want to see it. Wow.
Thank you. Run to the administrative report.
All right, that's difficult to follow, but,
What exciting things do you have?
yes, let me see, hey. All right, I did just want to alert council that, the administrative staff will be working from home next week. So if you need to contact staff, phone and email is going to be the best way. The offices are open. I don't want to, for the public, we are conducting business. So, we're just vacating the space to allow for the heating and cooling ductwork to be installed in the lower level. The other note I've got in here is I just wanted to, the mayor and I earlier this week attended a meeting regarding a Delaware County, City of Delaware, City of Sunbury CIC. We've been invited to join the CIC. We're still need to do some evaluation in terms of making sure that it serves our long-term economic development benefits. But I just at least want to alert folks that to know that the county is reestablishing its Community Improvement Corporation organization, and it will primarily it enables the city to kind of transact business as it relates to real property. Not that we have had a lot of that going on, but maybe that's in our near-term future. So we'll have another economic development tool in our toolkit to help us as needed. Final thing I would note, I should have added this. We do have the gap conversion efforts underway. You voted in a couple of meetings ago to basically allow that process to move forward. So the asset inventory work is being done this week. So any questions for me?
Questions or comments for Mr. Henson? All right, great.
Thank you.
I need to ask a question. Did I do visitor section? Are there any visitors that would like to speak?
We did not. We did not.
All right, thank you. Moving back on down. You're on to the engineer's report, Mr. Whiteidge.
Thank you. Brief report tonight. I get to follow Daryl instead of the police. Thank you, sir. The Reservoir Park project's going well, lowering the water level in the reservoir, a little bit of a challenge with that, but nothing we can't handle. The project is on schedule. It is scheduled to be finished in June, and I think should be done before that. A lot of things on my list, by the way, I think have already been covered. I apologize for any redundancy. Stormwater steady. Daryl and I are working on some legislation or some guidelines and legislation for related to water quality and sediment erosion control, primarily related to not just residential construction, but also to individual lot construction and home development that we are looking forward to presenting to you in the near future. And as the chief said, we're looking at helping him out with some GIS information related to the location of the radar signs. And I think we may be able to expand on that in the future for signage around the city, for not just those, but for other signs to help identify and educate us on where those are, similar to other infrastructure. The apartments, I think you've probably seen they're out there clearing some scrub trees in preparation for the construction. We're actually holding the pre-construction conference for that project on Friday. Probably see them go out there and start doing some actual mass grading and construction in the next few weeks. It'll be exciting to see that one get started. Magnolia Park project, the streetlights did get activated finally. However, the lights were a little brighter than they were supposed to be. They put their own lights in. The contractor has ordered the correct bulbs, and they should be in there hopefully next week. The Kelvin brightness of those bulbs are incorrect, and they will be fixed. They'll have those swapped out shortly. Ongoing erosion and sediment controls at Price Ponds have been not exactly up to par. We had a meeting with the vertical construction guys as well as one of the land guys on Friday, and continuing to work with that. Thus the emphasis on legislation, and we'll keep you updated on that. The Huntington Bank project, we hope to have a pre-construction conference on that probably in the next couple of weeks. You've probably seen they're out there with their no fence and mobilization on the site. No construction yet, but they've started. They're getting excited to get started. And as we've discussed tonight, the fiber optic providers have been interested in getting started, and we're interested in making sure we do it right. So we're putting together some guidance and some permitting regulations, and to focus on providing appropriate health, safety, and welfare, as well as taking care of the nuisance that goes along with that, to make sure we get that done in a way that provides not just fiber optic to our community, but done in a way that's appropriate and well done. Is the only other thing I think I have on here is the connection for the Legacy Trail is underway. Weather has been a bit of an issue, as you would expect. We're working to get that completed, but also to get a connection from Magnolia Park to the Legacy Trail that will require most likely a small boardwalk, probably about 20 to 30 foot long boardwalk over a little wetland area. They'll connect down from Magnolia Park over a little stream wetland area and then come back over into the Legacy Trail, probably constructed in the spring. Be a nice feature. A little bit of a maintenance issue, but nice at the same time. That's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Whited, any questions for Mr. Whited? Thank you so much.
No, thank
Great
you.
update. We are on the resolutions, of which we have none. We are on to ordinances. Second reading, ordinance number 2024.04, an ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 498.167 plus or minus acres of land located in Trenton Township, Delaware County, and owned by AEP Ohio Transmission Company, Inc., David B. Cockrell and Curtis J. Cockrell, and Sunbury 37 LLC, and declaring an emergency. This is second reading. We also have a second reading for ordinance number 2024.05, an ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 378.595 plus or minus acres of land located in Berkshire and Trenton Townships, Delaware County, and owned by the Columbus Southern Power Company, Glenn F. Hale, trustee, and FinCon Vance Valley Limited, and declaring an emergency. We also have a first reading of ordinance number 2024.06, an ordinance consenting to spot paving repairs along I-71 within the city of Sunbury. Historically, we've approved these after the first reading, just because more or less ODOT is saying they want to pave I-71. The only reason that we need an ordinance, in my view, is because it's within the boundaries of Sunbury. They aren't asking us for money. They are only asking for permission to do work, and they're going to pay for it, which I agree with on all fronts.
Sounds like it's a good deal.
Mr. Green, as far as precedent, or maybe Mr. Hennessy, as far as urgency, what is ODOT looking for here?
So we don't have suspension of the rules and emergency in the ordinance that you have in front of you today. So if we did that, we would want to basically add that. My conversation with the folks at ODOT is sooner is better, but tonight is not critical. So that was the reason why I didn't set it up for us. I think we can do the full 3 readings. They're not looking to do this, I think, until May-ish. I mean, they've got some
Yeah,
time.
they don't start putting down paving material until after spring, the first day of spring typically.
Yeah,
So-
so we've got time.
Yeah,
As far as precedent, there's only one other time. Actually, I think that I know that we've done that because prior to us becoming a city, they took care of the maintenance of the
Yeah.
highways in the village. Now technically it's our responsibility, but they are still doing some things as a part of their, I guess, goodwill. I don't know the other reason, but we had a guardrail project.
because it's the internet or the interstate. Yeah,
Yeah, they need to, so I don't know necessarily, it's out of the goodness of their heart, but
yeah.
they're not looking to pay for it, so we'll take it. We had a guardrail project that we did.
We did
We paid some of that. This is different.
It was a little different,
Yeah.
but, that's the only other time, but no issues other than we can verify timing between now and next meeting. And to the extent we find it's different and they do want it, we can add the emergency language and the suspension before your next meeting.
We will do it. My recommendation, let's do a suspension next meeting, maybe not an emergency, and get it out of the way. I like a clean agenda. That's okay. All right. That's my recommendation, Mr. Martin. We're going to unfinished business, Ms. Dre.
I think I'm good.
All right, good. Yes. Mr. Drummond.
I'm fine with me, thank you.
All right, Mr. Kaplan.
Nothing tonight.
All right, Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, I wanted to just say thank you to Mr. Hennessy for giving me and Murray a tour of the municipal building. And a special thank you to Chief and DC because when I got the tour of the municipal building, I've been in the municipal building. I understand what's going in the municipal building. A lot of direction. I didn't need a lot of direction. And the time and the patience that it takes for the police to explain to a civilian why they're doing what they're doing, why it's important, and why they're grateful we're supporting them, that takes more time. And we were there for a while and they didn't push us through. They answered all of our questions and they were excited. And it was really nice to see our police department excited. And I thank you for that. I know that took time out of what you would normally be doing. So I appreciate that. And just along that, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate our staff in general because I wouldn't say often, but whatever is below often, I call on the staff and I say, can I please have a meeting so I understand X, Y, and Z better? And I get a response within 24 hours and we get a meeting set up. So whether it's Mr. Bream, Mr. Hennessy, I've met with Alex, I've met with Alyssa, and it makes me a more confident and more well-informed council member. So I appreciate our staff. Thank you.
Well said.
Just want to let everybody know, 2 weeks from today, early voting, which is in-person absentee voting, starts at the Board of Elections for the March primary.
Great.
2 weeks from today.
That's wild.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing to report.
Last thing I had, I know I mentioned this last Wednesday, but that would have only been a day after the state of the city, I believe. Time has been pretty wild over the past couple weeks. But I've received so much positive feedback on the state of the city from folks that I haven't talked to in years. I'm talking about hometown friends, family, but more importantly, folks that just weren't able to attend the meeting, but had sat through the hour presentation on their phone or on a computer. I think they're probably pushing on their local government representatives to do something similar. I mean, to push out that much information in the way that we did, and like the whole handling of it. I mean, the charcuterie cups, talk of the town.
That was good
The
stuff.
QR codes, the survey, the information available immediately after. I think that's us listening, us saying, okay, how can we make this quickly accessible? And we got a lot of positive recognition, but our intention isn't for the recognition, it's to inform the public. And I think we accomplished that as a team. So great job. That's all I have. Anything from staff? I'll move to adjourn. Second by Mr. Neff. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
7 yeas, we are adjourned.
Thank you.